It is the Comeback SquadCast, episode number 3. I am your host, Cooper. Hope you guys are having a fantastic day and getting through as we are episode number 3 already, talking about all things going on in the Chippewa Valley here. And big day today, Dave Berg, Kingpin Management, and of course, our host, the man who gets to be outside while the rest of us get our indoor tan on. Benny Anderson is here from Visit Eau Claire. How is everybody doing today?
Good.
Well, I'm good. I'm only outside because you kicked me out of the studio, Coop. You said evidently showers were required, and it's ridiculous.
We decided to raise the bar. Everything else was tumbling downhill in 2020. So we're like, you know what? We're going to require showers before we have in-studio guests anymore. So, but we'll make the best of it, man. That's what we'll do. Make the best of it. And of course, being outside on a cell phone. There we go. Now we got him back. He's here.
Oh, I might have timed this poorly and then have to get to a charger for a second, but that'd be about it. So, well, we're really excited to have you, Dave. I mean, Dave, you and I have known each other for years. We used to sit across the table for a lot of charity events and loose competitors in the entertainment world for it. So, but we're happy to have you and talk about, all of the things that you've experienced this. And the first question I'm going to lead you off with is, how did you find your way onto the task force?
I think that was something with my work in Altoona with River Prairie Center in the city of Altoona, 44 North. It was a recommendation that potentially I help on the task force, and between the people I know, with Joanne with Dragon Eddies 51, Dino at Lake Hallie Golf, Judy Malone, and a few of the other people, Paul Wilkes. We just had a good group of people that wanted to help and communicate and kind of talk about what our businesses were going through. And we had a good combination of Lake Hallie, Menominee, Eau Claire, Altoona, that kind of covers different municipalities, different health departments, because as we know, each health department's kind of taking this a little bit on the well. So it was good bringing everyone together that could kind of talk about what their experience, and we could kind of develop what's best for the Chippewa Valley.
Well, and I joined your part of the task force a little bit later than the rest of it as we branched out for it. But I mean, the thing that I have heard the most about the restaurant task force and the bar task force for it, as well as seen it firsthand, is that they always refer to you as the tip of the spear, that that the restaurants industry has had it as hard, if not harder than everybody during the shutdown, and that your guys' work has really been some of the most vital and also impressive. Your health department representative with Alyssa also has just been super progressive in how we handle that. And why don't you explain why some of those relationships have been important for the community, and how that collaboration works a little bit different than we're seeing in other cities and states across that?
Sure. I mean, Alyssa's done a great job. Jeff is another one we deal with. They both do a great job. When we have questions, comments, concerns, I talk to Alyssa a couple times a week. Actually, before the new order came out yesterday, Alyssa and I had already talked about public gatherings, what it meant, what we should be at. And she kind of jokingly said it was my fault because I emailed her in the morning asking about public events and how banquet centers should be doing it to make sure we're following what they think, is outlined right now. And, so there's that regular communication that we're trying to keep people informed and do it right and keep our guests safe, but still keep our business opens, our employees safe. It's very important. There's a lot of businesses that can't weather another shutdown. So we're trying to do everything we can to be responsible and keep everyone protected. And, there's a lot of times where the health department, they're doing a great job, but they're overwhelmed. When you have 90 some cases in a day, like we did the other day in Eau Claire, sometimes that contact tracing doesn't happen as fast. So some of that we need to do on our own. And, that's kind of what I've learned and the task force has learned. And a lot of times we do it our own before the health department even contacts us.
One of the things that you've talked about and provided a lot of great resources for us is, you have businesses in multiple counties and have had, really unique perspectives from, how that operates and all that, how does Eau Claire doing it differently, do you think, impact, what's happening here compared to what you've seen in other counties?
With everything, it comes down to the business owner and how much they want to follow the orders. There's businesses in Eau Claire that follow the order to a T. Then there's businesses that don't. So while the health department does an amazing job in all the counties, it really comes down to the businesses, as you know, to ensure that we're keeping our guests safe, we're keeping our businesses open. Eau Claire has been very active compared to the health departments neighboring us. They've definitely, with having a large university, so many high schools, have a little bit of a challenge because there are so many different ways that COVID can be spread right now, because we're not all sitting at home quarantined. We're out and about. We're trying to live our lives, but still maintain those social distances, be safe, careful where we're going. But there are a lot of people right now that are getting out and about more. So we need to be responsible, get the word out and how they can do that safely and where they should and should not go. And the health department's done a great job. I mean, the health department hasn't tried to close our businesses down. They could have been more direct to the point. Even when we saw cases rise, they were more teaching, trying to tell you what to do versus take steps backwards in our reopening plan. We've been at, I think, level D for quite a while now. We haven't gone back, even though we've seen cases go up. So, I mean, I think that shows that the health department really is working with the businesses, whether there are frustrated businesses out there. Believe me, I have my frustrated days. Not normally with the Eau Claire County Health Department, because they've done such a great job and I can communicate with them. And, one of my businesses was one of the first ones that was named, and, I could have taken it a negative way, but, they're trying to do their job and they're trying to keep businesses open and still keep the guests notified.
And I mean, you never wish for any of that to happen to anybody, but I would say that was really, we had watched other places go through that, that naming, other cities, and we had kind of developed our plan. But, when it happened to you, it was one of those things where it really opened our eyes, I mean, as a task force to say, like, well, this guy has been on the forefront of everything and done literally, I mean, everything that to not only developed it, but told the line for all of it. And when you were, the first one named, I mean, I'm sure it was not great, for your business and everything for it, but the way you handled it really set the table for that. Knowing you a little bit, and knowing a lot of members of the task force, and knowing that some of us have some of those same personality traits of, wanting to do the right thing, but not necessarily like being told what to do. How do you come to the conclusion that you have to run your business community minded first and safety first, even if you don't always agree with everything that's happening?
From the onset of the task force, I think the first thing that I mentioned, and probably one of the reasons why I was asked to be on it, was because it wasn't about politics. No matter what my politics are, no matter what my views are, it was about keeping the businesses open, being at the forefront of trying to protect people, trying to protect businesses, and being a part of it. You don't always agree with everyone. You don't always agree with the path that's being taken, but not a part of the solution, you're not helping anything. So, I mean, people aren't always going to agree with the way we do things or my suggestions, but I at least want to put them out there and have that other view. And, the health department really has listened. They've had roundtables. We've talked about things. And if we don't agree with it, it's okay. And I can tell them I don't agree with it. There's no hard feelings. I give them my business-minded view of it, still wanting to keep my employees safe, still wanting to keep my guests safe, and I think they really do respect that. And it has been a good relationship, even though it can be tough at times.
Yeah, and I mean, from watching all of that, and seeing how that's happened, I mean, you've also had open communication from, all of the members to say, this is where we're struggling with it and why we're struggling with it. These people are customers to us, on one level, but at the same time, a lot of the regulars, are friends and difficulty. And some of that stuff becomes customer service issues, for that. And I feel like they've done a good job of listening to those issues with your direction and growing from that. What would you say that you learned, I mean, because at the time we were already developing the documents together for, the what happens when you have an exposure and all of that stuff. what would you say you've learned going backwards, now to say that you wish you had known as a business owner, before that first exposure, or, or since the task force creation? What would have helped you?
I think the number one right now, I think all businesses are struggling with is you can protect your business as much as possible and your guests that are coming in, but you can't control necessarily what your employees or those people are doing prior to coming into your business. So even though you're following everything to a T inside your business and you're sanitizing, social distancing, 6 foot, 25% occupancy now, you can do all that and you can spend all this money on PPE and you can make sure everyone's safe. But if once people leave your building, you don't know where they're going or what they're doing or what their demographic is and where they're socializing, what family events they're going to, what steps, precautions they're taking out, and that's probably been my biggest frustration as a business owner is reminding people that, yeah, I know you're not scared of COVID. I know you're okay if you get COVID. But that person that's next to you that you're working with or that guest that's not okay with getting it, you now are risking that person. And it's from your activities outside of work. And that's what I try to stress, I think, most. And I wish probably, we always talked about how to be safe inside work and washing hands and sanitizer and social distancing and marking off tables, polling bar stools, taking temperature checks. Every single employee writes and fills out a sheet if they have any symptoms and they sign and date. But do we talk about enough what did you do yesterday? Where did you hang outside of work? We try to protect everyone inside of our buildings, but the education of what you're doing before you come to work is almost just as important as making sure those questions are asked prior to coming into work.
Yeah. One of the other big struggles that we've experienced in that I'd love to hear a little bit of feedback on you from is, when we first started up and you had that generalized shutdown, all restaurants, all bars, all, for it. And then we reopened up, and we started narrowing it down to occupancies. And then we narrowed it down to, problem areas and all that. And we've really gotten it narrowed down to businesses that are individually choosing not to comply or struggling with that. You're the guy, doing, as much of it as you can with it. What you keep going with it. What do you say to those businesses that are looking to those one or two places and saying, well, how long can I do this, when they don't have to and be competitive, and what you feel it means to your guests and your community that you're still continuing to do the right thing, even despite those struggles?
We've talked to a lot of businesses, and I think for the most part, the business owners really do want to follow what we've laid out and what the task force has done, what the health department has done. And, it really comes down to a lot of individuals. As a business owner, we can only say too much and we can only protect too much. And I'm not going to risk my employee going to somebody else and trying to correct them. And then a fight starts out there's a fine line of what you can do as a business owner besides telling everyone, besides putting those signs up, besides checking your employees in to make sure they're safe. It comes down to all of our community, our individuals, and being smart. I'm not saying you have to lock yourself in the house. Get outside, things. If you want to go out for a drink, that's fine. Sit at your own table. You don't have to socialize. You don't have to stand. You don't have to high five. You don't have to hug the person. And that's been the biggest challenge is you can do everything right in your business, but you can't change how people socialize when they come in as much as you try. And that's the biggest thing, the struggle, because I've seen so many businesses. And when the shutdown first started, yes, there were businesses that bucked the system and they weren't doing those and they weren't wearing masks. I don't think we see that too much anymore. I think for the most part, we see businesses are complying with that and they understand it is important. They understand we can't shut down. We've already lost some businesses due to one shutdown, and whether that's because a business, they're ready to retire anyways and they don't want to do that fight again or go in debt anymore, because those resources are available out there no matter what it is. Another shutdown would put us over the top, I think, for a lot of businesses on what they could recover from. So I think a lot of the businesses, it's getting the word out to the community that they need to be respectful as those of the businesses they go into and of the people they're socializing with. Not everyone wants you to walk up and give you a high five and a hug and stand and talk to you for free for 15 minutes. Doesn't mean that I don't want to see you and it's not good to see you, but the times are different right now. And that's
You
just
know, for
aspect.
some of us that talk a lot and we're a little probably over friendly before COVID, I mean, I wouldn't say that that's necessarily a new change that people should pay attention to. Like, you know, I mean, I've tried to hug you before, Dave. I don't know that, you know, it's always well received. I mean, but I get it now, but I don't know what the problem was before. I mean,
I know. It's a good excuse now.
you know, I mean, but you know, the big, you know, obviously since we scheduled this, I mean, we had a rather interesting change yesterday with, you know, the good news of, you know, a lot of grant opportunities for, you know, restaurants and hotels and events and, you know, all of that having the opportunity to apply for some funding. But then, of course, we had, you know, the other part of it with the state's, you know, reduction down to 25% occupancy. I mean, we've seen a pretty unanimous approach from, you know, the organizational leadership of, you know, WMC and the chambers and restaurants and all of it saying, no, it sucks, but like it's really the warning shot, because if our numbers continue to go up, I mean, our prediction is that another shutdown would be really detrimental to businesses,
Sure.
Like yours, correct?
Correct. You know, the order came out yesterday. The first thing I did was pull all the occupancies for all of our locations. What does it mean? What does it put us at? What are we currently operating at? You know, it's surprising. We're pretty much operating at that 25% right now, just with the number of tables we've pulled, the number of bar stools. So, I mean, when you actually do the numbers and you look at it, what your occupancy is in 25%, I don't think there's a lot of businesses, honestly, in this area, you know, other than your places that are always busy, maybe are going over that. But on an everyday basis, I think that's what a lot of our businesses are operating at. And, you know, a lot of the restaurants have those things in place. So the 6 foot's still there, whether you're at 25% or 50%. And as long as we're following that, the 6 foot is what gets lost. We can throw 25% out there. We can throw 50% out there. We can throw 75% out there. Whatever the percentage is, if you're not doing a 6 foot distancing, it doesn't matter if you're at 10%.
Right.
So the 6 foot distancing, no matter what the business is what matters.
I'm gonna switch to a couple of positive things here for it. First off, I mean, what would you say is some of the work that you're the most proud of coming out of the task force from your work on it?
Honestly, I think communication among local business owners, getting out there, talking about frustrations. And, you know, I've never been one where I don't look at people's competitors. If people need help, I'm the first person to offer, you know, and I think it's really brought a lot of businesses together and kind of put some of that competition aside and true, honest talk on, hey, how are you doing? How can I help you out? You know, what's going on for you? So I think it has brought a lot of businesses closer together. So definitely proud of that. You know, every time Callie and I walk into a business and we see the Eau Claire County Health Department stuff that we made at the beginning, and it's still being used and it's still helping. You know, obviously we've spent hours upon hours on doing stuff like that, and obviously we're very proud of that. You know, and making it available to businesses that maybe wouldn't have put it up if it wasn't there for them. So those are things definitely we're proud of.
And then, you know, you've had a wide variety of businesses here for it and a lot of different opportunities. But what's it like to open up a restaurant with 44 Below during the pandemic, and how excited were people for you know, something new during, you know, that ability to be outside in the summer? And I mean, I've just heard amazing things about it.
You know, 44 Below was something we've talked about since 44 North has opened. 44 North's been open 2 years now. So basically, it was almost our 2-year anniversary. We opened 44 Below. My daughter just turned 16 yesterday, and that was kind of her undertaking. So she manages 44 Below, and it was fun on a personal level, just watching her and how organized and making her sheets and things like that.
Some dads give their kids cars. We give them jobs, right? Like that's the
earn that car.
It's your problem. Yeah.
Excited. August is not the best month to open an ice cream shop. You know, we had a great August, but that September hits you pretty quick. But definitely has been great and well received. And you know, Stout Ale House in Menominee is another one of ours that we took the time of May into June, and we completely rebranded it to the Stout Craft Company. So that was another one kind of during the pandemic of literally staying shut that whole time, not doing the carry out and staying shut even when we could open back up, to rebrand it, new menu, new look. We have axe throwing there and stuff like that. So that has been good. It definitely gets some excitement for your staff and the community when there's some new stuff going on. And I've always been a little bit of a risk taker. So, even though we're in tough times, I'm still trying to improve things and make businesses better and bring more to the community.
Well, I mean, I think that has been probably the most, enlightening part of, your work on the task force, Dave, and just, in your stuff as well, is that everybody has the same problems. And, a lot of people are taking these problems and seeing them as opportunities to, not just improve their businesses like you have, but improve the community and do all of that. And, I just want to personally thank you for your work on the task force. A lot of restaurants owe, their survival and their continued chance at coming back from this at the work that you guys have done on this. And, it's been super, super amazing to work with all of you. So you guys have done a good job, and, to Dino and Joanne and all of them that we hope to have on as well. And Alyssa, we've talked to them quite a bit about your leadership on that. And, we're thankful to have you, man.
Well, thank you. And with the Tavern League and what he's brought in has definitely helped. And with Joanne sitting on the Wisconsin Restaurant Association, they've definitely brought a lot into it, and being able to know what they're doing throughout the state on both of those organizations, which obviously are very active and lobbyists for a lot of the businesses around Wisconsin. It's definitely been a huge help having those two on there as well as Judy Malone and her help, and Paul Wilkes and his help, and then a few of my staff members, Jay and Callie, Jordan, and Jake. They all have done a great job, and I've really enjoyed working with all of them and building those relationships. And of course, Visit Eau Claire, Chamber of Commerce, who have taken a lot of the lead in organizing this and bringing local businesses together. Obviously wouldn't have happened without you guys being the forefront leaders on that, and the health department being open to the conversation. And they know this is ongoing and changing every day for them as well. They're working with their most current information they have and trying to do the best they can and balance everything. So everyone's done a great job.
Yeah, it's been a truly amazing effort, and we're going to keep going here, right? So
absolutely, roll with the punches.
Well, thank you very much for joining us today, and I look forward to stopping out for some ice cream here pretty quick. I'm gonna, and then someday we're gonna have to settle this bet as the two, old school axe throwers. Who throws better, Berg?
Time. Let's get that settled up. I think Cooper would like doing that too.
I'm gonna throw some money on that bet. I'm just saying, if it's the two of you guys, I'm gonna not say who I'm throwing money on, but I do have money. I have money in this company.
Berg, I'll play for charity. You let me know. You let me know the terms.
We'll get that going.
We'll put her out there. I'm ready.
Absolutely.
Thanks, man.
Awesome. Thank you, guys.
Dave Berg, Benny Anderson, the Comeback SquadCast is available on all podcast platforms. Just search for it and you will find it. And a new episode coming up very soon. Gentlemen, thank you very much. Take care of yourselves. We'll do this again soon.
Thank you.